Hey guys, welcome. This is the Practicing Project Manager, and this is your free YouTube video um, about everyday life for the project manager. This is Basic Training 103, Creating Effective Status Reports. You're not going to get a bunch of jargon here. You're going to get everyday advice that you can use the first day walking into your new job. So let's go ahead and begin. So the training objectives for this is tailor the report to the audience, be clear and concise, use red, yellow, and green status wisely, focus on progress versus plan, highlight issues and risks early, keep it visual where possible, and where and when you may want to add additional information. For example, schedule or milestones. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, tailor the report to your audience. Determine who your audience is. Is it team members at large? Is it everybody? Like I'm using air quotes, the Friday status report. Is it stakeholders specifically, where you meet with the business every week or every other week to let them know the progress and ask them ask them questions or for decisions? Or is it for executives? Is different groups require different focus? For example, the status and outstanding tasks for team members, progress and any workflow questions for stakeholders, what I just kind of said, business, and high-level status and progress, as well as major risks and asks or approvals for executive leadership. Say if business has asked for something additional, then we'd have to go to, we'd probably track that in change management in our log, but then we'd have to go to leadership to ask for it and get approvals. The tone can be more informal for the working team and should be more formal for stakeholders and executives. The format will differ for different audiences. So, for example, reports for the team at large can be emailed weekly. Okay, the report can be what I do currently is it's in a software called Smartsheet, and I print it out into a PDF, and then I copy and paste some of it into the body of the email. Rather repetitive. I work for a company that had PlanView, kind of the same thing, updated everything in PlanView, saved that to a PDF, did kind of the same thing at Kaiser. So yeah, basically it's usually the Friday status report. But reports for stakeholders and executives would most likely be presented at meetings as a PowerPoint deck. What I would do is I'd take a PowerPoint deck and I'd pretty much structure it like this class is, or this workshop, or whatever you want to call this. I'd have a cover sheet, an agenda, and then a slide or more depending on per agenda topic. And then usually you report out to stakeholders and executives during meetings as opposed to just emailing it out. But then you would email everything out after the meeting, of course. Okay, be clear and concise. I have my little note up there, tips and tricks. Just the facts, ma'am. Adopt an objective and journalistic writing style when writing reports. No fuzzy, warm, no fluffy, warm, and fuzzy here. Didn't understand my own sentence there. So keep your sentences short and sweet. I have a tendency to run on. And so what I do is basically I just write my whole report and then I'll go through and clean it up. But I usually kind of just do a information dump and then clean it up. And then once you start doing reports, you actually take your old report, you copy it and paste on your desktop or wherever and rename it for the new week, and you just kind of take what you were going to do next week, and that's last week, and that becomes what you did this week usually. You know what I'm saying? You just kind of take uh, whatever you had reported that you were going to do and move it back to the week that you did it, and then you come up with new stuff. Well, what are we going to do next week? And you populate that area. Because usually my reports have a summary, the red, green, yellow, and then what we accomplished this week and what we plan on doing. I either say next week or in the near future or something like that. Then usually I leave a spot for risks, and then I may include something extra. I'm talking about the Friday report right now. And then I may include something extra like a chart with high-level milestones or something like that, depending on what people want. And I want to let you know here also, check with your company. They may have templates and preferences. If they don't, you can kind of use this as, something standard that you can do. My examples here. But check with your company. Most companies usually have templates or preferences, at least, on what reports go to whom and what format they should be in. But what I'm telling you here is pretty standard in my 20 plus years of project management experiences. Okay, keep your sentences short and sweet. Watch your sentence structure. Avoid run-on sentences, double negatives. That I gotta watch myself on that. Quantify where you can. For example, what did we do this week? We continued development, and what are we? We're 45% complete. Especially leadership loves to see numbers like, ooh, 45%, isn't that nice? Use the position, title, or group instead of a person's name. So let's say for this example, the PM completed the charter document or submitted it for approval. You don't say Joe over in data moved, the historical data. You say the database group or DBG, whatever it's called, loaded the historical data, and then we're going to start working on current data next week, something like that. So say the group or the person's title as opposed to the person's name. When updating reports, keep an eye on tense. For example, when you move a future item to a completed item. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So you have what we accomplished this week and what we're going to do next week. So when you put what we accomplished this week, you look on your calendar, but you also look to your last report, which is now this report because you've copied and pasted it. And last week you said we're going to continue development this week. So you move that up to current. We continued development. And then you either continue on further in what we're going to do next week, or you come up with new stuff that you're going to do the following week. And I hope that makes sense. But you kind of just keep rotating it as you copy and paste the old reports and create the new ones every week. And it's different, of course, for the PowerPoints for the stakeholders or leadership. This is more like the Friday reports. Okay, use red, yellow, and green status wisely. In every Friday report, I always have project status is, and I put green in all caps, and then I turn the word actually green with, change the lettering to dark green. Okay, if it's red or yellow, I do that as well, but we don't want to go there. So we have a note here. I've been a PM for over 20 years, and I always check with my PMO manager or functional manager, whomever I'm reporting to, before changing green status to yellow or red. And we'll get into it here. You can most often change status of scope, schedule, and budget separately. Okay? Usually in a software, or even if it's just in a report, people are tracking the status. And so say the budget's a little bit over, so we moved that yellow. But as long as it's only that one thing and that one area is not deemed to be critical, then we don't have to change the whole project to yellow. Okay, and there's usually an agreement. Okay, what needs to happen for the area to go yellow? Scope, schedule, budget, or what needs to happen for the whole project to go yellow? And there's usually agreements as to the severity and all that kind of stuff. So use judgment and discretion. And what I mean by that, even as a senior project manager, I do not make the change before checking. Review your project risks and issue logs weekly. Is this still a risk? Is this still an issue? Now, risk is something that can happen that you try and identify up front, and an issue is something that's happening right now. Again, it could be a small issue, medium issue, or a large issue. So you need to check to see if okay, so identify issues and risks early. We have a note here. Listing a major issue or risk is inviting leadership or executive attention and intervention. While this may be often appropriate, always check with your manager first. Yeah, and what I mean by identify risks, if you change your status to red or yellow, or if you just, literally list out a major risk. So you just really want to be careful. I'm going to go more deep into this on a risk video, but for example, I had two examples last week. One of the tech guys on my project thought, he did some research and thought, oh my goodness, this field can only have one type of, I don't know how to describe it, but this field can only have one type of information in it, not two. Or I don't think it was a field, but I think it was, let's just say a transaction. It can only have one type of information in it and not two. And with this project that we were doing, we were introducing a second type of information. And he was like, oh my God, this is a major issue. This is a deal breaker. And, this is catastrophic. So we did need to check with the EPIC SME, subject matter expert. So I didn't freak out yet. I thought, you know what, I'm not going to freak out yet. I will freak out if the EPIC subject matter expert says to freak out. So we had a meeting with him and the two analysts, and come to find out, effective 1/1/25, or something that they put in at the beginning of this year. Now this what did I call it? Transaction, or this area can now handle these two different types. And so not an issue at all. And prior, I may have at least gone up to my manager and said, hey, we've got a big issue, blah, blah, blah. I think I did let him know, hey, there's a question, and we're meeting with the EPIC and the EPIC SME to do some analysis. So I let him know. I always do, but I didn't freak out yet. And then there was another one where the test environment, the project manager from the other entity, the job I'm on now, there's two entities that are kind of intertwined. We're on the same instance of EPIC. Said, oh, we can't get that test environment that you need. We can't use production data, blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of freaking out because he didn't find this out until last minute. Oh, thank you very much. I'm going to also do a video about working with other PMs. So it was very concerning because we were supposed to start testing soon. And so I did let my manager right above me know, my functional manager, hey, we're working on a test environment. They're saying that we may not be able to find one that has prod. And so the other entity that we were working with was kind of, I'll use air quotes, giving us a hard time about using the other environment. But we pushed through, we got a meeting, and we worked it out, and it's going to take a little bit longer than we anticipated, but we are getting the environment. So, I could have freaked out and, oh, let me be a really good project manager. They say to always let everybody know of the issues and risks, but not yet. Not until it's the real deal. Like, let your manager know, and then kind of take his cue as to when to escalate. That's the hierarchy rule. Never, never, never share anything negative above your manager without your manager's knowledge and approval first. Okay? And that's the first bullet point there. Always inform your functional manager immediately, even when kind of medium, maybe not minor, but when medium issues occur, you do not want them to hear it from someone else first. For example, their manager on an elevator, and that happened to me. So I do not let that happen again. And always have an escalation and remediation plan in mind when you share the issue with your manager. Unless you have no idea, and you can say, I have no idea and I need your help. But always like, what can we do to fix it, and do we need to go higher? So bottom line, don't be putting anything on reports. Don't share anything. Don't socialize anything until you're absolutely sure and you've checked with your manager first and actually gotten their approval, basically. Keep it visual where appropriate. So not all reports are Friday status reports. And even on my Friday status report, I'm able to go into Smartsheet and copy the little cute little green dots they have for schedule, scope, budget, and can't remember what the other one is. And I do a snip or a snapshot or whatever they're called. You can see how technical I am. And I put that in my I copy and paste that in the body of my email report. So I have that visual. And then at the bottom, I have a little bit of a schedule. So I have a chart. So even for the boring Friday status report, I do have a couple visuals. But for stakeholder and executive reports, which are usually in a PowerPoint deck, you do want to add charts, graphs, even just, cutesy stuff. Break stuff up into, instead of just bullet points, maybe create 3 text boxes across the page. And this is not my strength, but I try, and I'm trying, and stuff looks a lot better than it used to a few years ago. But just and for sure, charts and graphs where appropriate. Like, you may need to really kind of, like a Gantt chart, you may need to have that in there to kind of show the schedule from a super high level perspective. And then also, originally in this deck, I was saying just the facts, ma'am. And it's true, you don't want to ramble or provide unnecessary information, but stakeholder and executive reports may include more warm and fuzzy information. For example, we're meeting the company's vision and goals. Here's the company's 2025 3 main goals, and this project is meeting those by providing blah, blah, blah. So again, a little bit more warm and fuzzy may be appropriate for stakeholder and executive reports. Let us move on. Okay, adding additional information to reports. I'm going to talk about an S-bar in here, so let's look at the note first. So S-bar stands for situation, background, assessment, and recommendation. And I'm going to create a video for that. And so do watch for a video explaining how and when to use an S-bar. So it may be appropriate to list high-level schedule or milestones to the bottom of the weekly status reports. I just said I do that. If there are any outstanding issues that have been socialized, it may be appropriate to document the mitigation plan in the report. Say even in the Friday report, if you list an issue, you may want to list, The database team, again, not using names, personal names. The database team has a plan. They're in analysis, and they plan to have something to report next week, something like that. Again, using the appropriate language, but you may want to put, we're working on a plan and we will present it at this time. Additional slides will often be added to the stakeholder and executive PowerPoint decks if there's an issue. Because when we're meeting with the stakeholders, we are asking for decisions. So we may say, hey, the technical team has discovered X, Y, and Z. You guys wanted A, B, and C, but I don't think we have the ability, the technical ability. What would be your preference then? So we'd have a slide saying, here's what you wanted, here's what we can't give you, but here's what we think we can give you. Does this work? Or maybe we'll have option 1, option 2, something like that. And then if it goes higher in the executive PowerPoint decks, we may have to say, hey, business asked for this, we can't do it, we can't provide it technically. Here's what we can do, but it will cost, it'll take an extra 30 days and cost an extra, 100K, something like that. And so we'd need to get the executives' approvals for that. And if there's an issue, we may want to create an SBAR slide to explain the issue. And then on the following slide, provide options. Here's option A, here's option B. The team recommends option A, but we just wanted to kind of let you know what the deal is. And if certain metrics are of interest to stakeholders and executives, additional slides with data and charts may be added, because the executives really do love some visuals. Okay, let's go ahead and go over the status report summary. Consider the audience for each type of report. Keep sentences short and sweet. Use titles and groups rather than names. Be mindful of project status changes. Use discretion when sharing major issues. And add charts, graphs, and other visuals where appropriate. So it's way more than just a couple of bullet points every Friday. It can be very, very detailed. I want to tell you a little bit about the Practicing Project Manager. So some points that I wanted to make. These free YouTube videos won't be full of PMBOK jargon, Project Management Book of Knowledge. I was looking up something, and the 80% of the videos that I was looking up on YouTube were just regurgitating PMBOK. It's like, well, first you have to do the WBS and then the XYZ and the ABC, and I was like, wow, this is just not real life advice. And this is what I thought, this is an area where I can help with my 20 plus years of project management experience and having been PMP certified since 2005. So and I have one part-time person that helps me, but we are dedicated to helping project managers deal with real everyday issues and challenges, like when the rubber hits the road. This is not theory, this is practice, okay? This is not ideas, this is doing, okay? So this is practice with advice and guidance to help get you through the hardest situations. And our mission is to help you become a confident, successful project manager right away the first day when you walk in. Especially contractors, they're expected to hit the ground running. FTEs, they usually give you more grace, like with a learning curve and that kind of thing. But for contractors, it's kind of like by the end of the first week, they basically expect you to start, having your arms around the project and working on something. So that's why we're here. So I want to thank you so much for joining. Please do share with any other project management friends you have, or people who are thinking of becoming project manager. And like, share, and subscribe. I would love to get more subscribers. I'm really trying to build this channel, so I'd appreciate that. And if you have any ideas or needs for specific topics, please do put them in the description box below, and I will definitely consider doing a video on your topic, and I may actually already have it on my list. So again, thanks so much for joining, and we will see you at the next video. Bye-bye.